So welcome back to Driven 276. In today's video, I'm actually going to show you how to do the rear brake pads on the 2022 Mustang GT. I'm actually trying to get the car ready for the track day coming up at Road Atlanta. So on one of the previous videos, I showed you how to do the front brake pads on a non-performance packed Mustang GT, but today we're actually going to do the rear pads. I'll try to make it pretty simple and pretty straightforward, but it is going to be step by step. So let's get started. Let's get the car in there. All right, guys, so I hope you can see this. So first you're going to do, I have these actual bracket covers. These aren't stock. We're actually going to do the rotors and the pads. I'm going to use the Power Stop track day pads since we're doing a track day. So let's go ahead and start by taking these off. This is a 10 millimeter. You will probably not have these, so you won't have to worry about this. But this is a 10 millimeter. The steps that we don't, or some of the steps I will actually just speed through. Okay. Next there's going to be, I think it's a 14 to get the actual caliper brackets off. I do actually have to get something to hang these. The fronts, you just kind of put them on the, I guess you consider that a cross member, but anyways, you actually have to hang these. I'm gonna hang them to the strut. So I have something to hang this with. We're gonna use this right here. We're gonna hang this from actually up in this area once we get it taken off. And from what I remember, it is actually a 14. Always have to remember the direction I'm going. Let me kind of bring you around back here so I can show you these bolts. I think I can hang you from somewhere, possibly. Let's see. And that might be a possibility. I hope you can see that. Okay. I'll go over the torque specs too once we put these back on. Again, that is a 14. Turn to the bottom. And then we'll do the top. Okay, got those loose. Now we're just gonna take them right off. Just like so. And we'll hang them up like this. From there. And that puts about away enough. And we're not really gonna keep these pads, so I'm not worried about where I put them. So I'm just gonna take them on out. These are the G-Lock, I think it's GS1 pads. They were loud. They weren't supposed to be. They were street pads, but it looks like they've glazed some. I just don't recommend them, even if they're street pads, at least for the Mustangs. And they may work for other models. I didn't like them in this vehicle. They stopped well, but they are just not quite. But as you can see there, they are. Okay, the next thing you want to do is actually take this bracket off. And I think if I remember correctly, it's going to be an 18. It's going to be a little bit harder, and I can't remember the exact torque specs of that. Let me try to mount you somewhere where you can see me try to loosen this up. And when I say try, it's going to be pretty tight, so I'm going to struggle with it a bit, but we're just going to give it a good try. And it's going to be these right here. I hope you can see that. And I'm going to use this. I am going to try to use a breaker bar if I can get it in here. If not, I'll have to figure out something else. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. That one's loose. Okay, there is the bottom one to the top one. I don't know if you can see that, but let's go for it. That wasn't bad either. Okay. Now I've had these off quite a bit. Yours may or may not be as easy. I hope it is for your sake. Make sure to not strip these when you put them back in. They do make replacements, but again, the knuckle is the problem, of course. Okay, there's that, and there's a bracket. Okay, the next thing we want to do is get the rotor out, and there is no hole to actually push to get the, push it in or whatnot. You actually have to just break it loose. Now these have been on there for a little while, several track days, street use. So we are going to use the trusty hammer, and I'm going to hammer them off. And plus we have this nice ring right here, which is pretty tight, this hub-centric ring, and it keeps them on there pretty good too. So let's, I might have to, yeah, it's kind of a weird angle, especially since I'm left-handed on this side. Anyways. Oh yes, must add, emergency brake must be off to do the rear brake pads. So make sure you chock your wheels appropriately. And try not to hit your caliper either. Don't recommend if you're going to reuse these, do not use a metal hammer. I don't plan on reusing them. Be careful with it. Well, that's stuck. Let me pause you right quick, guys, until I get this off. As I paused you, it came loose, see? There we go. Yep. I'm gonna try to clean that up a little bit. We're gonna reuse them, of course, because they still work, but Lord, need something that anti-seize would help out tremendously next time. Anyways, there is that off. So, what is left next is actually cleaning up the caliper, cleaning up this, prepping the new rotor, and prepping the pads to put on. So give me a minute, and I'm gonna get the new rotor out, get all this cleaned up. I'll show you what I cleaned it up with, and we'll go with that, go from there. So all we have to do right here is clean this rotor off. So I'm gonna take some brake cleaner I have over there, and I'm gonna clean this rotor off, just to get all the old grease off. And you can clean it on anything, really, honestly, but I got the Evolution by Power Stop. I think, goodness, let me see what brand they are. I can't even remember. Or top. Power Stop Evolution, they are geomet coated. They're actually very good, well priced. I'll put all the links in the description for the things I've used in case you want to purchase them or pick them up. If you don't want to use the track pads or the brake pads I'm using, these though, or at least they're very good. They're very well made and they last quite a while. So the next thing we're going to do in this was we're actually going to clean up the hub with a wire brush and some of the cleaner we just used, of the brake cleaner. So let's get that. I think I have it already up, yep. And actually we may just have to use the wire brush, to be honest. Some of this old stuff off. Next I'm going to get actually off the bracket we took off. I'm going to take these clips off. I'm going to clean this bracket off just a little bit with the wire brush as well. Hope you can see that. Maybe, hopefully you can. Just clean it off with the wire brush as well. Doesn't have to be perfect. It depends on how much you want to clean it. Just to get the brake, some of the old brake dust off is good. That is helpful. If you want to go really above and beyond, you can re-grease the pins. I re-greased them not too long ago. We won't go into that right now. Just kind of doing a basic brake job. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a paper towel and I'm gonna take each one of these things out and clean them really well. They are full of brake dust, and also clean in here. A little bit, some of that brake dust out. Now some of your kits, some of your brake kits or brake pads may come with new hardware, and honestly these may have. I haven't opened them up to check. And I may open that up and see that in a minute that they did, but I might save them for another day. These are actually just fine to reuse. I'm not concerned about reusing them. Okay, so that one's done for the most part. We can get in here and clean it a little bit like we did the last one. Brake cleaner, or the wire brush. Okay. Okay. Just check them, make sure they move well. I mean, you can check that and see, and they do seem to still move pretty good, so I'm not concerned. All right, so that bracket's done. The next thing you want to do, really honestly, is to try to push your piston. I hope you can see that. We're going to take the piston or take the caliper back off this, because you're going to want to work on it. I did forget to mention, you want to relieve your brake pressure before you start pressing your caliper back in. So anyways, there is a special tool that you have to use when you're actually putting the caliper back in the piston of a Mustang. So let me show you this. It's got these two little prongs on it like this. And you can get these from Amazon. And I'll try to find one and put a link in the description below too. So you put it in here, and what you'll do is you'll turn. And you'll just twist your piston back into the caliper. You can't just push it back in, you actually have to twist it back into your caliper. And it's somewhat of a frustrating task to do, I'll be honest with you, because you have to kind of make sure you're on those tabs the whole time while you're twisting down. Now you won't have this problem because your hat won't be broken there, and it'll be fine, but you can see it's going back in. Keep an eye on your fluid too. Once you get this one in, make sure it's not going to overfill or overflow. It shouldn't, but just to make sure. Okay. You more or less just want it to be flush. So let me go get our rotor right quick and we'll put it back on. Okay, it's pretty simple, just kind of like you're putting a wheel on. Should fit on really smoothly. I'm gonna go ahead and just clean this up a little bit, this hub-centric ring. Again, if you're using these, make sure if you have any, some anti-seize would be helpful. I do not have any at the moment. So we will just slide it back on there. And to get it to fit, and it does fit, but it does take a little bit of forcing, I should say, or persuading. Okay, and you may not actually have to put a nut there or a lug nut if you're using these. Of course you can though, just to make sure it's held on. We will, but we don't necessarily have to, just so it won't slide completely off. Okay, next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put our bracket back in before we actually put our, get our brakes ready. And that's pretty simple, just kind of reverse the way we put them in or take them out. So let me get you positioned back. Again, make sure you do not thread these incorrectly or cross thread them. It will make for a bad time. I would start one loosely, do it by hand, then start the other one also loosely by hand. Before you use any type of power tool, hand tool, whatever. I definitely would make sure that you have it started well. Should relatively all the way thread down by hand. It might be a little bit difficult, but at least by hand you should be able to get all the way threaded in. Okay. We're gonna torque these here in just a second. I'm gonna find out the exact torque value and I'll let you know what that is. So, it says that these are actually 129 foot-pounds. I will say that that's quite a bit of torque, especially in this little area. We're gonna try though. Let's see how much torque I actually have on. Let's go down a little bit further than that. That's 120. Let's go with that. Seems good. All right. So we have the bracket on. The next thing we're gonna do is actually put the pads in, so we're gonna get those ready. As said, we got the Power Stop Track Day pads. I've used these once before at Rotor and they actually work pretty well. Then I went to G-Lock pads thinking that they would actually be a little bit better, and to be honest, these were better, at least my preference. But it depends on what you wanna use. I plan on using these and then switching rotors and pads for street pads. That's just what I'll be doing. So you do not actually get a new bracket, so keep that in mind. You just get the pads in the box, and that's fine. A lot of times, most of the times, that's what you usually just get, it's just the pads with track pads. But let's go ahead and grease these. Don't be overzealous with grease. Track pads are not. You don't have to be. Only the things that's really going to touch the metal do you want to actually grease a lot or any. I use this ceramic CRC ceramic fortified brake system grease. It actually works pretty well. Next thing I'm going to do is actually put just a little bit, you know, if you can get your finger in there, just a little bit in here. Okay, so now we can put that pad in there. Since there isn't a drum on this side, I won't be putting any on the outside on this one. I will put a little bit of this grease on the outside of the other one that will be touching the actual caliper itself. I'll be putting some right here just to make it, you know, easier for the caliper. All right, and we'll just stick that in this one, like so. Okay, all that's left is to put the actual caliper over and to put the bolts back in there. Take this off the hanger, bring this around, and if you've compressed it enough, it should just easily go on, like so. You just grab your bolts, the back side there. Again, you don't want to strip these either. I do one at a time, get one in kind of tight or finger tight, and then put your other one in. Now these are only 24 foot-pounds. Okay, once you get them kind of tight, finger tight, then you can torque them down. Okay, so let's see if I got this on tight. Okay, I'll probably go up just a little bit more than that. That seemed kind of loose. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we got it. They seem good. So that's good. That's all there is to it. Your rear brakes are done. Got them lubed up, got them in there. Now all you gotta do is put your wheel back on and you're done. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the other side myself, then we'll finish up here.